The African Cinderella. In the heart of the Ashanti kingdom, where the sun kissed the golden fields of cocoa, there lived a girl named Adon. She was as beautiful as the morning sun. She was loved by all in the village, but her life was not as golden as her name. Adam's mother had been a kind and loving woman, the daughter of a skilled weaver. Her father, Kofi the hunter, was known across the land for his strength and bravery. But fate had been unkind. A great sickness swept through the kingdom, taking both of Adam's parents when she was just a child, left with no one but her father's second wife, Na, and her two daughters, Efua and Amma. Adam's life became one of the endless suffering. Na was a woman consumed by jealousy. She had always resented Adam's mother, for she was the first wife and the one Kofi had truly loved. With Adam's parent gone, Na saw her chance to make Adam suffer. She turned Adam into a servant in her own home. You will fetch water from the river, sweep the compound, and cook our meals. Now ordered one morning, her sharp eyes piercing through Adam's small face. But stepmother, I am still mourning my parents, and I am too small to do all this work. Adam pleaded. Do not speak to me this way, you ungrateful child. You should be thankful I have not thrown you into the forest. How dare you talk back at me? From that day on, Adam worked from morning to dawn as she was growing. While Efua and Amma were adorned in the finest kente cloth and decorated with gold beads, Adam wore old rags. Despite her suffering, Adam never lost her kind heart. She found solace in the stories her mother used to tell her, whispering them to herself at night as she lay on the cold ground outside the hut. Little did she know the ghost had been watching her all along. One early morning, Adam carried a large clay pot on her head and walked to the river to fetch water. Her feet were bare, but she did not complain. She had learned long ago that no one cared about her. As she reached the riverbank, she heard a weak voice calling out, Please help me, child. Adam turned and saw an old woman seated under a big tree. Her hair was white as the clouds, and her skin was wrinkled. She wore a faded cloth wrapped around her tiny body. She stretched her hands towards Adam. What is wrong, Mama? Adam asked, setting her water pot down. I have been walking for a long time and have no strength left. Could you fetch me some water? Without hesitation, Adam filled a small calabash and helped the woman drink. Then, noticing the old woman's state, Adam tore a piece of her cloth and wrapped it around the old woman's dusty feet. You are kind, my child, the old woman said. Kindness is difficult to find in this world, but the ghost sees everything. Adam smiled. It is only right to help those in need, Mama. The old woman touched Adam's hand, and for a moment Adam felt strange warmth spread through her body. Your kindness will not go unrewarded, the woman said. Now, go before your stepmother sends someone to punish you. Adam bowed respectfully and picked up her water pot. But when she turned back, the old woman had disappeared. A chill ran down her spine. She shook it off and hurried home. She had no idea that her life was about to change forever. A few weeks later, excitement spread through the Ashanti kingdom like wildfire. A great festival was to be held at the palace, and the king's only son, Prince Kwabena, was searching for a bride. A royal messenger arrived in every village, beating his talking drum and announcing, "The prince will choose his wife at the festival. All maidens are invited to the palace." When Ifwa and Amma heard the news, they chatted with joy. "Oh, I will be the prince's bride," Ifwa declared, watching herself in front of a mirror. "No, I will," Amma argued. Their mother now clapped her hands excitedly. "My daughters, we must prepare. You will wear the most beautiful kente, and I will make sure the prince sees your beauty. The prince must marry one of my daughters." Then she turned to Adam, her smile vanishing. "As for you, witch, you will stay home and scrub the floor, cook our meals, and fetch water. You don't deserve the prince. You are a witch." Adam's heart beat, looking sad, but she said nothing. She knew better than to argue. On the day of the festival, Ifua and Amma were dressed in a dazzling attire. Their arms adorned with golden bangles, their head braided nicely. Now was so happy. Her daughters looked beautiful. She said, "The prince must marry one of you. You look perfect. Your looks are on point, my daughters. Go, make sure the prince sees you and marry you. Come to my hut and ask for your hand in marriage." When they left, Adam sat by the fire, staring into the flames, fighting back tears. "If only I could go," she whispered. Then a familiar voice spoke from the shadows. "Why do you weep, my child?" Adam turned and took a deep breath. The old woman from the river stood before her, smiling. "Ma, Mama," Adam called. The old woman smiled. "I told you the girl sees everything. You have a kind heart, and tonight you shall go to the festival." "But how? My stepmother had forbidden me." The old woman raised her hands, and suddenly a soft breeze swept through the hut. I saw Adam's rag cloth transform into a breathtaking gown of deep blue and gold, like the night sky. Around her neck Around her neck, bracelets of ivory and gold appeared, and on her feet, a golden slippers sparkled. "These are not ordinary slippers," the old woman said. "They will carry you to the palace, but you must leave before the last drum beat at midnight, or everything will vanish. Adam's eyes widened in amazement. Now, go, my child, your destiny awaits you. As soon as the old woman spoke, a beautiful horse appeared outside the hut. Without hesitation, Adam climbed onto it, and in the blink of an eye, she was on her way to the palace. The palace courtyard was alive with music and laughter. Maidens from across the kingdom danced in their finest clothes, hoping to catch Prince Abner's attention. When Adam arrived, the crowd looking at her. Who is she? She looks like a goddess. Even Efua and Amma, who had been boasting or even said in belief, disbelief. Prince Kwabna was standing by the royal dramas when he saw her. Her heart skipped a beat. The way she moved, her grace, her beauty, he had never seen anyone like her before. He walked towards her and bowed. May I have this done? Adam hesitated for only a moment before placing her hand in his. As they danced, this time seems to stop. The prince could not take his eyes off her. Who are you? He asked. Adam smiled but said nothing. Just then, the palace drum sounded. The final beat before midnight. Adam gasped. I must go. She turned and ran as fast as she could. Her golden slippers wanted to remove, but still ran as fast as a horse. Prince Kabna chased after her, but she was too fast. She rushed down the palace steps. One of her slippers slipped from her foot. She didn't stop. The moment she reached the palace gate, her beautiful gown vanished and she was once again in a rag. She ran all the way home, her heart pounding. Meanwhile, the prince picked up the golden slipper and held it close. I must find her, she whispered. The next morning, Prince Kabna declared, the maiden who fit this golden slipper shall be my wife. Messengers traveled to every village, stopping at every home. When they arrived at Adam's hut, now pushed Ifua and Amma forward. Try it on, my daughters, she said. Ifua forced her foot into the slipper, but it was too small. Amma tried this, but her foot was too big. Is there no other maiden here? The messenger asked. No, none lie. But just then, Adam stepped forward. I would like to try. Na and her daughters laughed. You servant, go back. You can never be the king of the Ashanti kingdom because you are a slave. Look at you, dirty girl, witch. You could never have worn such a slipper. Go away. The messenger ignored and handed Adam the golden slipper. She slid her foot in and it fit perfectly. Everybody was shocked in the hut. Then, in a flash of a golden light, her rags transformed into the dazzling gown she had worn at the festival. You, the messenger cried, you are the prince's chosen one. Adam turned to Na and her daughters. They stood frozen, their faces filled with shock. Later that day, Prince Kabna arrived in person. When he saw Adam, his face lighted up with joy. You are the chosen one. You are my wife. I have found you, he said. Adam smiled, her heart beating faster. The prince took her hand and together they walked to the palace. Adam and Prince Kapna were married in a grand celebration, and the entire kingdom rejoiced. The old woman from the river was never seen again, but Adam knew she had been a messenger from the gods. As for Nan and her daughters, they were humbled by their shame and never mistreated Adam again because she was now the queen of the Ashanti kingdom. Adam, once a forgotten girl, became beloved queen of the Ashanti kingdom, proving that kindness and a pure heart would always win at the end. And so, the girl with the golden slippers lived happily ever after. The end. Thank you.